I have to say, I feel like a rock star. This is amazing.
Wow, so many wonderful humans out there.
Not so skeptical now, are we, about psychology?
Love life and enjoy every moment.
Leave the store.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's a great joy to be here this afternoon to blow a few notes for you. Should I get the gag out of the way early to blow my own trumpet? Oh, that's better. It's no surprise to me that Harry and I are here to finish off the conference. I've closed a lot of venues over the years. I was asked to speak about why do I make music? And it was funny, backstage we were talking about it, that fantastic panel that we just here now, having a discussion about it, and Professor Wiseman said to me, how much money would I have to give you to never play again? He's like that, isn't he? That undermining thing, he was doing it already, he was trying to stop me coming on, I'm sure. But he said, how much money? And I thought about it, and I said, it's not something I've thought about specifically. I remember many years ago, the great jazz guitarist George Goller said to me, if someone gave me $1 million, I'd never play this thing again. He was having a bad day. And the money was based on what would I need to live if I didn't do the guitar as a profession. It wasn't about what is it worth to me to play music. And so I said, looking at that, I mean, we could talk about how much money I'll need to live. Let me see, there's the yacht. There's the but that's not the point. What he was really asking, of course, is how much money can I give you not to play music? You know, to replace that, whatever it is you get out of music. And I said, well, we're assuming here, before we talk about the figure, that there is an amount of money that I could use to somehow fulfill myself in life as much as music does. There may not be an amount, it might not be an amount, it's not about that. If there is an amount, then we can discuss it, and you can write me a check. So we talked about that, and what it was it gets you down to what exactly that question: why do I play music? What's it for? So probably to answer that, I mean, why do I play music? It's simple. I can answer that, and we can finish up. I play music because it's the best way. It makes me happy to connect with people. It's the best way I know to connect with people, and that's what makes me happiest. And so that's why I play music. I don't know how else to connect with people in that way. And it is connecting with people that makes me happy. And so I did say, look, if I could connect with people in some other way, perhaps I could be a great orator and go and talk to people. And if I could talk to a group of people and have them feel the same way I know they do when I play music, maybe that would replace it. And we talked about that. But I don't know. I certainly am not that kind of orator, so I'm going to stick with the trumpet for now. Although the gags go over well, usually, you know, I could be a comedian. So the thing is, to really answer the question, then we just need to quickly define happiness and music, and we're done. And I've got another 12 minutes, so for me, the closest thing, I mean, of course, you've been thinking about and talking about happiness for a couple of days here, but it is about that connection. I don't think, for me, and it's obviously a personal thing, I can't be happy any long term unless I have a connection with people. It's all about that. That's what it's about. It's what being human is. I can be happy on my own briefly. A good tiramisu will do that. But it doesn't last. Well, it does, but not in the way I need it to. So it's that connection. Why do I play music? Why do I make music? It happened when I was 7. Everyone in this room, I bet, has had a moment of time, hopefully many times in your life, but at least one where music got to you, where it moved you, where you were hearing some music. Maybe you weren't sitting down to listen to music. You might have been watching a movie. You might have been doing all sorts of things, but there's some music playing, and the music gets you. And, you know, people often talk about when they hear Bach, Johann Sebastian Bach's music, as they sit listening, the universe expands. And it's an amazing feeling when music gets to you. When that happened to me the first time I can remember, I was 7. And that's not unusual or anything. And lots of kids get fascinated with music and moved by it, and they feel something. The difference perhaps with a lot of my colleagues was, instead of saying what people usually say is, play that again, do that to me again, the thought that came into my head instantly was, how do you do that? I want to do that. I don't want it done to me again. I want to be the one doing it. I want to be able to go into a room and make that happen. I'd like to do that for the rest of my life. And so that's why I'm a musician. So the instrument doesn't matter, which is why I guess I'm a multi-instrumentalist, because they've all got great personalities. They all do different things. They're all great fun. And because I didn't fall in love with an instrument, there's no reason not to play lots of them. Because you can do the same thing on all of them in different ways. So that takes care of that. And the whole work of learning to play and learning music, not a problem, because you're after this thing that is so precious. You're after being able to make that feeling. And all, of course, it's the connection. And we also talked backstage about the fact that when you have a feeling and you put it into words, and you tell someone that, they hear the words, then they have to convert it, understand it, and then they get the feeling. This is all being well if you're communicating, you know, perfectly. They'll end up having the same feeling you had, the same idea you had before you put it into words. The wonderful thing about music is, I get a feeling and I start playing. When we're playing like that, we have a feeling, and the feeling just goes straight to you. You don't need to understand. You don't need to know what chords we're playing. It's like understanding words and sentences and understanding the concepts someone is talking about. Not necessary. You don't even need to know whether we're improvising or whether we wrote it beforehand or what the name of the song is. I bet there's a lot of people in the room, probably most of you don't even know what song that was. Doesn't matter. It's a song called I've Never Been in Love Before. Not true. Anyway, so So that's the wonderful thing about music. The communication seems to be much more direct between human beings with music. So it's just a fantastic way to walk into a room and affect people. And you think about what's going to make you happy, what's going to lead you to want to be happy is the way I think about it, is imagine spending your life going around the world or round the city. It doesn't matter. It's not about how big or glamorous your career is. And what your job is, what you're there for, is to walk into a room and say, "Hi, let me make you feel better." It's kind of like being a GP, but not as many drugs as involved. Well, depends on which the musicians we're talking about. But all jokes aside, that's really what it's all about. And I have many friends who are accountants. I don't know why. I seem to have more accountant friends than others. And that's not a casting aspersions on accountants, but I say that first before I then malign them. I don't think accountants get to do that very often. How often do they walk in for the audit and everyone applauds and says, "He's here"? Excellent. We've been waiting for this. And then they all cheer while you sit down to do the audit. Just doesn't happen. And does everyone feel better when you've done it? Not usually. And so it's an amazing way to spend your life. That's what you're there for. It's not like a side benefit of the job, or it's not like, wow, you also... No, it's what it's for. It's the main job. And that's why I make music, because as I said, the original simple answer, I don't know a better way to connect with people and to change their state and to make them feel something, or to help them, or to... At least I feel like it's more like inviting them. Now, there's this illusion that goes on when music is played. Harry and I stand up here. You were introduced, I believe, when you walked in, but this is Harry, my youngest son. Richard was talking about the lucky people. Yeah, I'm definitely one of those. I think I got an overdose because I need a band, and I got Harry plays the bass, next oldest son plays the guitar. I bred one. And we needed someone to handle all the IT and the website and all that sort of stuff, and the other son does computer science. Got it covered. But there's an illusion that goes on when we play music. Whenever you're in a room and someone's performing music, and the illusion is this, that we are the performers, and that we are doing something, that you are watching us do it, and it's us that you're appreciating. It's a great illusion. I'd like to keep it going, because that's how we get paid. But it's actually, in a successful performance and an artist that last. That can be the case, but that's like they come and go. Artists that last and actually build a relationship with the audience so that it endures for their lifetime aren't doing that at all. What's happening when we're playing is Harry and I and all of you, if you just wouldn't mind standing up and saying your names one after the other. I like to be inclusive. We are all being affected by the music. Hopefully the same way. We're all actually having a shared experience. I happen to be holding that, and he happens to be holding that. That's because he's bigger than me. But that's how it feels to me when I'm playing. It wouldn't matter who is holding it, as long as they can play it, as long as we can hear that same music. Now, of course, my skill in playing it, Harry's skill in playing it comes into that allows us to play music that will affect us that way. But that's about as far as that goes. The experience that's happening in the room is very much the music, not my music, his music, the music is affecting us, and we are partaking, if you like, of this thing, and we just happen to be holding the instruments. That's how it feels. If it doesn't feel like that, it's not working. If it feels like I'm doing something, look at me, that's not going to last very long. Ever been on YouTube or something and had a look at someone who can actually ride a unicycle across a, you know those things that someone says, look at this guy's incredible, and he's riding a unicycle across a tightrope while juggling a cat, a chainsaw, and a flaming torch. Have you seen that? There's a guy that does that. That's right, it's not a real cat, it's okay. And it's amazing. You look at your guy, I can't believe this, and it has your full attention for about 90 seconds. And I've read about this, the study's been done, about 3 minutes as long as you can be impressed with anything. Seriously, if that's all there is in it, if it's just it impresses you, it takes you about that long maximum to get used to it, to go, okay, I get it. I still can't do it, but now I see it can be done. Fine. And that's why, think about it, if I showed you for the first time in your life someone riding a unicycle across a tightrope, juggling a cat, a chainsaw, that chainsaw was going, and a flaming torch, you would be astounded, so would I. But after you'd watched it for 3 minutes, if I got someone else and said, watch it, watch, this person can do it too, how's that get you? I'm bored already. Yeah, third person, oh, okay, whatever. Because it's just, that's all there is to it. You're impressed. Not to take anything away from jugglers. Some of my best friends are jugglers. But if I just impressed you with my ability to play the trumpet, that's all it was, it wouldn't last. It wouldn't last long enough. It's about the music and how it's affecting us and what it's doing to us. And so, in a situation where I feel that all that's going on is I'm playing to you, or worse still, at you, it's not going to last long. It's not going to come out well either. And certainly you won't be back. And so that's why I say those artists that last, that music that endures, must have in it that thing that it gets people. It's a shared experience. And that's why we all keep seeking it out. And that music that you love, or those artists that you love, or those things you keep wanting to hear, it's because of how they affect you. It's not because, listen to this guy play the trumpet. It's not bad to throw that in as well. But it's certainly not the reason. And it's certainly not even a big part of it. So that's why I play music. Because, as I said, think about it. I haven't found anything yet. I'm not likely to now. That produces that kind of effect and that connects me to people in that way. And I haven't found anything more fulfilling and hence anything that makes me more contented and happy than that. Which leads me to all the teaching that I do. I have an academy and a university, and we do that because, wow, you know, if you think it's great to play for people, watch what it's like to teach someone to do that and to be there when the lights come on. That's the bit I like. You're teaching someone and they're struggling with it and they're trying to do it, and then, you know, they get frustrated sometimes, and other times they get dogged and they work and all that, and then there's that moment where the lights come on. They realize it's not about the work, it's not about the skill, all necessary, but it's about something else. And the first time they feel that and the lights come on, they're a musician. And that is as fulfilling in a completely different way as playing to thousands of people and having them become moved by the music. It's an incredible thing. If you play music, you know what I'm talking about. Funny thing is, and this is what's great about it, if you've never held an instrument in your life and you've been moved by music, you know what I'm talking about. You're just getting, perhaps, I hope, an insight into what it's like to be the one holding the trumpet. Did you know, this has nothing to do with what we're here for, kind of, but it does. Do you know how you play a trumpet? Does anyone know? I know that some people do. How's that? She was in a marching band. She gave up trumpet to chase boys. I didn't. I was wanting to chase girls, but I didn't give up trumpet to chase girls. I noticed that actually it helped. I was a very nerdy kid. I'm probably a nerdy adult, but I noticed I was a lot hipper holding this than when I wasn't. But I took up my first second instrument. Does that make sense? My first second instrument, because I have many second instruments. I took up my first second instrument for that reason. Samantha played euphonium, and the cornets sat on the opposite side of the band of the euphoniums, and I was on cornet. Took up trombone because they sit next to the euphoniums. And people thought it was because I was going to be a great musician. Nothing to do with it. Anyway. How you play the trumpet, I just want to quickly share that with you because I want to give you something memorable to take away today. We're going to play again in a moment. We're going to finish. But I want to give you something memorable to take away that will stick in your minds more than anything I say. And it's how to play the trumpet. You'll remember this. And there's nothing more banal. There's nothing more disappointing than finding out how the trumpet works. If you love the sound of it and the music and everything, you go, wow, watch this. This is actually what I do for a living. And by showing you how base that is, hopefully that emphasizes the point of it's all about the music, not about the trumpet. How you play the trumpet, when you make a sound like this, that note is actually, this is the mouthpiece which comes out, as you see. There's nothing special in that. It's just a tube with a cup in it to take your lips. That note sounds like this without the trumpet. But even better, if you take away the mouthpiece, I'm making the note. There's nothing in a trumpet that makes a note. If I blow air through a trumpet, you just get air. There's nothing in here that produces a sound. It's not like a harmonica with a reed or a saxophone with a anything. It's just a tube. And you actually make the note. with your lips, and then the same thing. So I make my living blowing raspberries down a pipe. And yet, music can be so transformative. I feel like I've answered the question completely, because there is nothing more to it for me. There is no greater motivation. There's no other reason for doing this. It's good to have a gig, but get to tour with my sons, all sorts of benefits. But I figure that's all, Richard's lucky person thing. Everything I do seems to just work out just how you would have had it, and often not how I'd even imagined, because I couldn't have thought of anything that good. But I put that down to the fact the motivation behind the whole thing is that connection. And when you're trying to connect and you're trying to share and you're trying to spread that great feeling you've got, seems things work in your favour all the time. There's some high-level philosophy for you. That's what you came for, isn't it? Yes. To hear the trumpeter tell you that. It's nearly time for us to finish, but we couldn't possibly go without playing this next tune, whatever it is. Harry tours with me a lot with the band, as I said, and I always say he's in the band for two reasons. One of them is he's such a great bass player. The other one is he does give you, the audience, a chance to see what I looked like when I was 20. I was 6'5", and I had hair. We're going to do a song that is inspired by a recording I did. I've been very, very lucky in my life to there's that lucky thing again. To play with so many amazing musicians, so many legends too, and one of them is the great Ray Brown. Ray Brown played with everybody. He played with Louis Armstrong. He played with Count Basie. Played with Ella Fitzgerald. He was married to Ella Fitzgerald. I asked him, how long were you married to Ella? He said, too long. Ray was the father of the jazz bass and the modern jazz bass. And Harry's a big fan of his. And I did a recording. I did a number of recordings with Ray, but one of them we did this song. And it began just as a trumpet and bass duet, which is what we've got here today. So it's just perfect. We're going to do and finish off for you with a song written by a man who was also very happy to all accounts. He was always smiling. That's a good sign. Mr. Fats Waller. And he wrote lots of great songs. And this is one of his most famous songs of all. It's simply called Honeysuckle Rose.